Hi, welcome. Welcome to JanJan DCS voice attack plugin for F-16. I want to briefly show you what this plugin can do. This is the only plugin for voice attack which can do anything. It can operate the entire cockpit. Master arm off.
Arm off.
It can send any vocal communication command. ARCO, request rejoin.
Verify laser code is set.
Colt 1-1, request rejoin.
And it can do a lot more with
Colt
special
1-1,
commands.
Arco 1-1, Chicken 2, 1 mile trail at 23,000.
Say nearest runway.
Nearest airfield is Kutaisi, bearing 353 at 7 miles.
So I'm going to go over some of the commands, the setup, and a brief demonstration of what this plugin can do. It's a free plugin which you can download from my Discord server and enjoy it. A similar plugin already exists for Falcon BMS. I'll briefly go over the configuration form. On the configuration form on the main tab, you have the setup where you can define your key binding, the DCS route, the user key file, and set up the plugin. Everything I'm going to say here is explained in detail in the document, so I'm just briefly going over it. The Startup tab defines what you want to do when you start up the jet. So you can define, for example, the COM1 and COM2 volume, the RPM to move the idle the 10 forward, several other choices here. Some of them were recently added. For example, the bull's own ship and to initiate the HMCS alignment. And over here you have the lighting conditions, depending whether it's day or night. MFD. This is your default MFD for each MFD page, depends on the state, which can also be added over here to the startup sequence. Commands, again, this is explained in details in the documents, but for example you can choose to add some dynamic checks. You may check that the gear down, or before lowering the gear your speed does not exceed 310 knots in this example. If you want to get a notification whether your fuel flow is above a certain value, that your refueling door is open or closed when you initiate an air refueling sequence, and so forth. Forms, this I will demonstrate, and I'll also have a short video for this, but the plugin has, well, tens of thousands of commands, so you can filter some of these commands in 3D view. I'll show an example shortly. You can back up some of the stuff or some of the configurations and settings that you set, registration form, and very important is the document, the Google Doc, and donations for those of you who wish to donate. So I'll close this form. For example, let's say that you do not know how to start up the jet. So you can say phrase filter by startup.
Startup.
And there you go. And now I say initiate startup sequence.
Fuel pump norm. Start main power. Set JFS start 2. Set air source norm. Waiting for RPM to reach 21%.
Okay, while we're waiting, I want to say that during the startup sequence, do not try to initiate any other vocal commands. This might interfere with the startup sequence. And there you go, 21.
Throttle idle detent forward. Waiting for RPM to reach 60%.
And the startup sequence continues.
Setting day illumination. Taxi lights. Turning avionics and sensors on. Aligning INS. IFF norm. CNI UFC. Backup UHF both. Audio panel. RWR power on. CMDS panel. SAI. Loading defaults for both MFDS.
The SAI doesn't always work, so you might need to tune it yourself.
MFDs loaded.
Okay.
Startup sequence completed.
Request taxi to runway.
Good order. Colt 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Colt 1-1. Kidata, clear to taxi to runway 15.
Right, let's say that you forgot whatever the controller was saying, then you can simply say, repeat last transmission.
Cleared to taxi to runway 15.
Ready to take off.
Good order. Colt 1-1. Request takeoff.
Hammer, check in, 15 minutes.
Hammer 1-1. This is Colt 1-1-1. F-16. 9.
Lights fell down.
Of IP. Adder
19.
17,000.
Verify laser code is
Laser
set.
code is set.
Roger.
Colt 1-1. This is Hammer 1-1.
Lights fell down.
Tag 2 in effect.
19.
Advise ready for 9 line.
Ready to copy.
Ready to copy. Further talk on.
Ready to copy remarks.
Ready to copy remarks.
If you're not sure what to say, you can show com menu. Say external fuel level.
External fuel. 1,585 pounds.
Say fuel level.
Total fuel 8,700 pounds.
Set course 10.
10.
Almost. Radio 1 frequency 315.05.
$315.050.
Say nearest runway.
Nearest airfield is Tonopah Test Range. Bearing 034 at 12 miles.
Say runway navigation aids.
Runways for Tonopah Test Range are 14 or 32.
That means it has ILS system, and you can tune to this ILS. Set ILS for runway 14.
Tuning for Tonopah Test Range. Ground.
Right, and now you have it. The ILS frequency is set, the course is set and everything else, and you can prepare for landing at nearest runway.
Tuning for Tonopah Test Range.
Inbound for landing.
Attention, high fuel flow.
Colt 1-1. Inbound. Colt 1-1. Fly heading 045. Port 14. QFE 24.49. Runway 32. To pass altitude.
Repeat last transmission.
Fly heading 045 for 14, QFE 24.49, runway 32.
Now let's say you want to lower the gear and the speed is above 310 knots. Landing gear down.
Reduce speed below 310 knots.
Lights off.
Lights off.
Lights on.
Lights on.
Select chase view. Now the plugin has tens of thousands of commands, as I said, or variations of the commands, then wait for you to pronounce and say them. But I want to show a few other useful things. Set night illumination. Great, now I want to turn on the night vision. Show goggles. Great. Let's say that I want to reduce or increase the goggles brightness and I don't know how to do it. Phrase filter by goggles and brightness.
Goggles and brightness.
And there you go. So you can say increase goggle brightness.
Then proceed to waypoint 1 above
Increase goggles brightness.
altitude 6,000, speed
Reduce
280.
goggles brightness.
Down.
Great. Landing gear up.
Gear up.
Lights off.
Lights off.
Anti-collision lights only.
Anti-collision.
Say nearest runway.
Nearest airfield is Megiddo. Bearing 164 at 0 miles.
Set TACAN channel 75 Yankee.
75 Yankee.
Set instrument course 316. Set laser code 1511. Set backup frequency 325.10.
325.100.
You need to make sure that if you want to go to the normal com, you have to set the frequency or change it, because what it does, it's changing to the emergency frequency. So now you're only available to speak on emergency frequency. So the best way is just to set COM1 315.05.
Verify joystick profile is loaded.
Set COM1 frequency 315.05.
Three 315.0.
Master arm on.
Arm on.
Master arm off.
Arm off.
Push right MFD 13.
13.
Push ICP 5. Select cruise page. Select INS page. ICP return. Set QNH 2985.
2985.
Select fuel knob external wing.
Wings.
So this is the short introduction to JanJan plugin for DCS, which you can now download from the DCS server from the announcement channel. If you have any difficulties, you can go to the bug report or the general. You can request for specific commands to be added to the plugin, which I can usually add quite easily. If something is missing, something is not working, just send me a note. As I said, this is a free plugin which can technically do anything. So thanks for watching. Download the plugin and start using it. Bye bye.